Welcome back to my channel. Today we're diving into strategy, not the flashy kind with red pills or black markets as the one true path, but the one grounded in reality, reason, and what actually drives historical change. Many in the liberty movement, particularly agorists inspired by Konkin, put heavy tactical emphasis on counter-economics, black and gray markets, withdrawing consent through untaxed trades, building the agora underground until the state starves. It's consistent on paper. It rejects the political means, but is it primary? Does it suffice as a revolutionary path? Let's examine this carefully without strawmen. First, credit where due. Agorism correctly identifies the state as a criminal cartel sustained by compliance. Counter-economics leverages self-interest and demonstrates voluntary order in practice. Natural outlaws, those who reject rights violating laws on principle, have a place. But treating counter-economics as the primary driver risks putting praxis before foundation. Ideas are not secondary. The disagreement boils down to our theory of history. Some see mass action, enough people dodging taxes or using crypto, as the engine. This leans towards a psychological or economic view. Change people's incentives or behaviors in mass, and society follows. In my strategy debate with 5 Crownick, my mod wants to debate strategy, June 2023, I argue for a philosophical theory of history. We contrast this with the psychological black pill views. Emotions and mass behavior derive from underlying ideas. Intellectuals and a rational vanguard shape culture. The masses follow. Counter-economics without the risk drift into pragmatism, subjectivism, or red market violence. See also my elaboration, Anatomy of the Celebritarian, on why pure activism fails. Reason is man's tool of survival. Force is the enemy of the mind. If we don't ground people in objective rights via argumentation ethics, self-ownership, and objective law, counter-economic activity becomes just another evasion. Black markets existed under the Soviets. They didn't collapse the system into liberty. They adopted or invited crackdowns. Pure tactical emphasis on counter-economics assumes widespread rational self-interest while scale naturally. But most people operate on floating abstractions, conformity, and unexamined premises without a philosophical vanguard internalizing why the NAP is a non-negotiable. Parallel institutions risk wind worship or warlordism. Counter-economics is a tactic, valuable in a supporting role. Use gray markets, crypto, homeschooling, private arbitration where possible. But don't make it primary. Focus energy on clarity, rigorous epistemology, debunking altruism and statism, converting thinkers who then influence broader culture. This isn't quietism, it's radical consistency. Live voluntarily where you can, but prioritize winning the battle of ideas. History shows philosophical shifts, enlightenment, precede systemic change more readily than underground economies alone. Critics say this is ivory tower, but Rand warned against action without principles. Hoppe's argumentation ethics demands we argue from reason, not just evade. Building a remnant of clear thinkers creates the demand for agoric institutions that actually endure, not fragile black market networks vulnerable to enforcement. Critique number 1, counter-economics is unrealistic and impractical. The state will crush it. A common Rothbardian objection, echoed on ANCAP circles and liquid Zula-informed analysis, black-gray markets exist but stay marginal. The state's superior force, police, military surveillance, can suppress them, as in Prohibition, which enriched cartels but didn't collapse the state, or the war on drugs. Underground economies don't scale to replace the state. They invite crackdowns or adopt into tolerated gray areas. Agorism ignores unpleasant features like organized violence. Agorist objectivist response is this underestimates the state's dependence on productive economy it parasitizes. Counter-economics is gradual resource starvation, not a single dramatic confrontation. Every untaxed transaction shrinks the tax base and moral authority. Historical evidence contradicts fatalism. Soviet Sazmodat and black markets, modern crypto darknet, encrypted communications, and gig economies thrive under repression. States adapt but erode legitimacy when evasion normalizes, e.g. widespread tax avoidance. Homeschooling surges parallel currencies. From a radical objectivist lens, the state's superior force is an illusion sustained by compliance and stolen resources. Reason is man's means of survival. Force is anti-mind. As more individuals internalize objective rights via argumentation ethics, which Liquid Zulu champions, demand for voluntary defense, insurance, and arbitration grows naturally. Agorism builds the customer base for ANCAP institutions during the transition. Polycentric laws scales through reputation markets and insurance incentives against aggression, precisely as Liquid Zulu describes objective law. Historically, stateless-ish examples, medieval Iceland, American frontier, show emergent order. The critique assumes static power. Agorism exploits dynamic incentives. Liquid Zulu's emphasis on ideas is complementary. Philosophical grounding prevents counter-economics from devolving into might makes right. But without widespread practice, ideas remain abstract. Agorists live the philosophy, acting consistently for freedom in freedom, demonstrating superiority faster than lectures alone. Agorism focuses on economic withdrawal, but under-specifies how private defense agencies, insurance, and arbitration overcome a territorial monopoly without critical mass. Transition leaves people vulnerable. Per praxis risks subjectivism or fragmented warlordism. Response? The mischaracterizes agorism as anti-institutional. Counter-economics is the transition mechanism. As people exit the white market, demand for superior voluntary services explode. Agorists explicitly advocate building private defense, mutual aid, and arbitration underground. These outcompete the state on cost, responsiveness, and reputation. Insurance companies have strong incentives to minimize violence. Liquid Zulu's own work on contract theory, title transfer, and polycentric objective law provides the ethical foundation. Agorism supplies the practice. Objectivism reinforces this. Rights are objective, not subjective whims. Force is only justified in retaliation. A vanguard educated in reason, per Liquid Zulu, ensures institutions remain grounded, avoiding wind worshipping. Agorism is anti-utopian. It expects irrationality but leverages rational self-interest among growing minorities. Success snowballs via visible prosperity, crypto adoption. Most people won't go full black market due to tribalism, short-termism, or conformity. Agorism assumes utopian conversion. Liquid Zulu strategy debates stress combating black pill defeatism with ideas, not assuming spontaneous market action suffices. Response? Agorism requires no mass overnight conversion or a growing counter-economic class demonstrating superiority suffices. Shifts start small and compound. Enlightenment ideas, crypto. It is anti-utopian. It accepts statism's roots in bad ideas and incentives, attacking both. Liquid Zulu rightly rejects psychological determinism. Objectivism holds emotions, follow conceptual evaluations, and reason can prevail. Counter-economics incentivizes rational practicality, profit from freedom faster than politics. Philosophical education and agorist practice are synergistic. Live the ideas, teach by example and results. Blanket rejection of voting, lobbying or reforms, tax cuts, starves liberty of incremental gains. Radical response, politics is the political means, proxy theft and cartel legitimization. Participation diverts energy, creates alliances that compromise principles. Liquid Zulu critiques pragmatists like certain celebritarian or Dave Smith style approaches and delays building alternatives. Reforms are often reversed, constant withdrawal is permanent. Consistent NAP application, including against indirect aggression via voting, aligns with Liquid Zulu's uncompromising ethics. Agorism is the praxis of that consistency. Liquid Zulu's framework strengthens agorism by demanding rigorous philosophical grounding, argumentation ethics, objective law, rejection of subjectivism. Agorism fulfills it by rejecting dualism between theory and practice. Intellectual vanguardism without counter-economic action requires becoming another package deal or evasion, much like Liquid Zulu critiques naive anarchism or altruism. The state collapses not from ideas alone, nor blind markets, but integrated rational action. Educate on rights, evade and undermine simultaneously, build voluntary order. Counter-economics demonstrates the superiority Rand praised in productive achievement, and Liquid Zulu in rational law. It treats participants as natural outlaws, acting on principle. Critiques of agorism, often strawmen as naive or incomplete. Through the radical objectivist anarcho-capitalist agorist lens, it is the most consistent strategy, moral, practical, and revolutionary. Liquid Zulu's contributions enrich the philosophy. Agorist practice operationalizes it. The path forward is not critique or counter-critique in isolation, but living agorism with philosophical clarity, understanding the universe by acting to make it freer. Agorism's energy is admirable. Integrate its best elements, but subordinate tactics to philosophy. Study the fundamentals. Check my free course on libertarian ethics. Build the vanguard. Change the ideas that sustain the state. That's how we win, not by hoping enough gray market trades starve the beast while philosophy lags. Drop your thoughts below. Encounter economics primary or secondary to rational philosophy. Like and subscribe. I'll see you next one. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next video.